Skip to the 12-minute, 15-second mark in the video to see the combat and the 20-minute, 50-second mark to see the build. But just to really quickly, in the first minute here, explain kind of what you see on it. So it's like, this is not a pure damage ordnance build, Amon, of course, and that one actually got nerfed too, at least for the sustain of the ammo on it. After they nerfed, I think they nerfed, well, they were nerfed power play, and I can't remember, but I think they even nerfed one of the skill notes for it. I'm not sure, though. Maybe they didn't, but in any event, it didn't affect this version of the build, at least, which I like, because, again, anyone who knows me knows I always try to avoid doing the pure meta, especially pure DPS builds. I hate them. I always want to do more casual, more tanky builds that I can find on characters that also aren't what other people are doing. And this Amon build, even though, I mean, it still utilizes Ordnance, so I can't deny it's an Ordnance Amon build. But it's more like it's more a Scourge build, if anything. It's a Scourge build that uses Ordnance, is how I would best describe it. Because it's the main synergy, as you'll see in the build, it's far more about tanking. It's about maintaining Scourge forever. And also with that, all the things that restore ammo, yes, with Primal Surge, but also maxing it out completely on how much it restores our shield constantly from everything. I mean, the Cryo Pulse on the Augment on Scourge really helps that because it activates the statuses and the crits on, like, waves of enemies constantly without us even having to hit or do anything. And then Forge Wave spamming really helps with that between Ordnance use, although, of course, I still use Disc Jockey to just do, as I'll do here, for the best kind of mobbing on it. But, you know, there's different ordinances that are better for different situations. That's also why I like this build, because you can really use any ordinance you want. And just use... So I have... You'll see it, like, I have Disc Jockey, I have a homing missile launcher, I have a regular missile launcher, I have the Honey Bunches missile launcher, and then I have the Atling gun, minigun. Depending on the situation, I find all of them can be better than the others, depending on what I need them for. Like, Atling gun rocket launchers are better for general use, like good at everything. Disc Jockey only for mobbing, and then Honey Bunches only for bosses or really tanky elite or vile enemies, like tanky single targets. Now, I will say, last thing I want to mention. So, of course, you'll see you cannot do platinum. I beat the boss easily on Uvh6 true mode, but you can never reach platinum on this kind of build because it's not it's not a pure damage build. That's why I hate the timer, of course. It's only meant for damage builds as per usual, and looter shooters, they are the only ones that ever get love. Whereas more casual and tankier builds never get love anymore. So you're really screwed regardless. However, the good thing is, well, if you saw my last video, there's a huge exploit right now to just get platinum rewards constantly without having to get platinum all the time. So I would definitely check out that video, like 2 videos ago on my channel, I think, during like the 6-minute mark. And check it out if you just want to get your loot like me, because you can't be bothered to get the stupid meta DPS builds. As if that proves anything, too. I mean, if anything, it's a harder... the boss is a harder boss if you don't use those builds. So anyone who tries to claim, oh, it's because you just suck, I'm like, well, no, if anything, you actually have a much harder time with the boss. You actually have a bigger challenge. I mean, this build is a bigger challenge, I'd say, because you have to deal with the platforming a lot longer. That is really the challenge, where you just instant death constantly awaits you if you miss the platforming. So obviously, longer fights necessarily make it harder anyway. But the good thing about this version of the Amon build is that you can still, you have to get the Honey Bunches launcher still. It still requires that. But I tested it out, and I can get platinum rank time on Uvh1 on this build, which really is all you need to do to be able to get the loot constantly, the best loot, because I've seen the rewards constantly on Uvh6 too. There's virtually no difference, honestly. There really is virtually no difference. Like, you will get all the same legendaries, all the same gun enhancements, Firmware, there's like no difference, and you'll still be getting like, 3 or 4 legendaries on average, regardless of what difficulty you're on, I've seen. So if you can get platinum rank on Uvh6, which this build actually can do, then you're golden. That's all you have to do. And that's also why, I would say this build is probably one of the best builds in the game, frankly, because again, when it comes to just pure reward system, well, it can still get the best rewards off Bloom Reaper, just set it to Uvh6. But then it also can pretty easily beat him and carry people on the hardest difficulty too. Not on platinum, but he can easily beat him, of course. Because he's just so freaking tanky. Like, this build is like this tankiest build I think that can exist. I mean, having infinite uptime on Scourge itself is the thing, because Scourge literally is damage immunity. And it really is damage immunity. Bosses that ordinarily would one-shot you literally do nothing to you if you have Scourge up on Amon. So an infinite uptime on it is crazy. Then you combine it with the shield restoration status effect application chance, maxing out that completely, and yeah. And then, of course, find a good shield or armor, which I did too. But you can easily just use like an onion or just a regular shield that has maybe turtle on it without the best one you see that I have. And honestly, you'll still be invincible, and you'll still easily be able to do this fight too, because again, Scourge is what's protecting you the most of the time. And yeah, you'll see me, I literally can use Honey Bunch's launcher at point blank range and not have to worry about a thing. Now, I will say you need to make sure your vengeance meter, though, is not completely filled up, and then you take a boatload more damage. But as long as it's not completely filled up, yeah, I can just shoot a full load of Honey Bunchers in my face and take no damage on this guy. It's crazy. So, I mean, this guy is like the tankiest build that I've ever seen, frankly. It really is the tankiest build, period. I've seen a lot of builds now. There's no build for Amon I've seen off other build crafting videos I've seen, much less any other character, that comes close to how tanky this Amon is. It really is the purest tank build. And it is a pure tank because it also draws aggro. That's why I love using the taunt augments, because it's like, yeah, also draw aggro and heal your team, so be a support too. Like, it reminds me of the good old days for a tank, when he actually could draw aggro too. Like, so yeah, that's why I love this build, because I love tank builds, and it's the purest form of a tank build in this game that I could find. But then on top of that, it can still clear mobs very quickly. It can honestly match the meta builds, the meta damage builds out there, almost for mobbing. For bossing, of course it can't, but because of just using like Honey Bunches and still having an ordnance side to the build, the infinite ordnance side to the build still, even if you're not maxing the damage on your ordnance, you can kill any boss in this game on the max difficulty very quickly. I mean, other than this one, but every other boss, you can just blink and kill them on max difficulty for the most part with just spamming Honey Bunches, and never is crazy. So, and I did update this build if you've seen it. So I got rid of the two, again, just skip to the end of the video to see the builds. I promise I'm almost done finally. I just want to explain the last changes. So I got rid of the Baker firmware, which I was using to maintain the rep kits to maintain Scourge, but I realized I really didn't need that. So I did get 2 ranks of high caliber, because the projectile speed, I realized, also helped maintain Primal Surge, ammo, and shield restoration, because it just makes the ordnance, the heavy weapon projectiles hit enemies quicker. So it helps to activate your statuses quicker again. And then it also gives you a decent gun damage buff, which when I tested it on bullet dummies actually did have a decent like chunk extra to my at least heavy guns especially. And it would also affect Forge Waves too, since they rely on gun damage. So, and then, what was the last thing? Oh yeah, so I swapped out my gun enhancements, which did have gun status effect damage. I swapped that out for gun status effect chance, because once again, I'm really learning on this build that status effect application chance, when you're building it for a pure tank, that actually is what you want the most, because it's going to help you tank the best, because it's going to activate Primal Surge even more often. But it also helps your damage, too, because it activates Tail of the Comet, the damage over time constantly, more often, too. Which, when I'm mobbing, especially if I'm not using the Disc Jockey during certain phases, and I'm just using Forge Wave, Cryo Pulse spamming, which still does decent bombing, well, when I do that, I'm just spamming it all around the field, because I'm just getting Tail of the Comet constantly activated on everything with it, so that it slowly whittles down the field. But it whittles down the entire field such that you actually clear the field relatively quickly, with only like the most elite enemies requiring something else than Forge Waves to kill them at a decent pace. Other than that, every other kind of fodder enemy you're just going to destroy because of the combination of Forge Wave spamming with status effect application chance, Tail of the Comet activating on everything constantly. Oh yeah, and on that note, the very last change I made is, what was it? I changed out one of my specialization passives to get contamination. I can't remember what was the one I got rid of. If you've seen this, because I've done a lot of videos on this build now, and I used the other one so much. I am a gun. That's right. I got rid of I am a gun. That was only helping my Forge Waves a little bit for damage, but I realized contamination once again helps me activate status effects and therefore Tail of the Comet too, even more often. So it would help my Forge Wave damage anyway, because it's going to help it activate Tail of the Comet more often. But then on top of that, it affects, my heavy weapons again, and it affects my shield restoration again, and ammo restoration to make it even more easy to maintain ammo. So I'm like, yeah, that was the way to go. So my 4 passives are like the best defense, the 2 ordnance ones, and then, I went for contamination. That felt like the best 4th passive to just finish off the maximizing the status effect application on it. All right, I'm finally done. I'll put another, I'll just mention at the very beginning of the video. I had another edit to the video where I say when the combat starts too, because I ranted a lot at the beginning here.